Hello and welcome to Protect and Prevent podcast. My name is Opal Singleton. I'm the host of this podcast, and I am also the president and CEO of an incredible organization called Million Kids, millionkids.org. And I want to talk to you today about what happens when you put prepubescent children, preteen children online, especially online without 24/7 supervision. Those little rascals are clever and they will find a way to get themselves in trouble when you're not looking. So let's talk about that, okay? So this podcast comes out regularly. I am been the president of Million Kids for about 15 years, and our organization combats sex trafficking, labor trafficking, and especially online social media exploitation. And we've trained about 750,000 people on this very subject. We are a post-certified law enforcement trainer. We live in Southern California, just west of Los Angeles, north of San Diego. Beautiful country most of the time. But I have also spent the last 15 years of my life trying to keep our kids safe from predators. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm not a weirdo, you know. I'm not one of those people that is just extremely unmovable kind of thing. I've done tens of thousands of hours of research on things like sex trafficking and child exploitation online, child pornography, and how that works with pedophilia. And, you know, it's an interesting thing. I do this not because I enjoy negative information. I don't. I will tell you that. I do this because I want to be able to say, never again should a child be violated. But our world is changing very, very fast. And I will tell you right off the bat, I'm not against technology. We have to raise our children in a way they can live in a world without borders and a home without walls. That happens to be the name of my last book that I wrote, Societal Shift, because this generation of young people are going to live in a world without borders. Literally, when you put a young person online today, they are online with potentially up to 5 billion people. And I often say, have you ever thought if there are 5 billion people, let's say there's only 1 billion people online at any given time, what percentage of them are pedophiles, bad guys who want to reach our kids? And that ought to scare the socks off of you, okay? Technology is not good or bad. I say it's like a car. You take it off to a university, you get a degree, you take that car off to a strip club, you're going to get yourself in trouble. It is not the car, it is how we prepare the drivers for that car. And we do not put 7-year-old kids behind the wheel of a car. At least we shouldn't be, because the results could be disastrous. Well, I decided to choose this very topic for this podcast today because of a case. Everything that I do is case-oriented. I have literally, as I said, 10,000 hours plus of reading case studies. And when I read a case, I say to myself, what can we do different? What can we teach parents? What can we teach teachers? What can we teach young people? What can we understand on and help with tech companies? What can we change about the laws? What can we do to educate, to prevent, so that never again will a child be violated online? Well, here's one of these cases, just came out February 2025. The headline, by the way, this article is put out by ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. You may not realize it, but Homeland Security and ICE are all part of the ICAC system. ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children. And I know there's a lot of talk about ICE and Homeland Security out there about deportation and all that. I'm not going to go there today. What I want to talk about is that group of ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children, that are out there doing whatever they can to protect your children. So according to this article, a Mexican citizen residing in Winona, Minnesota, I believe it is, was sentenced to 324 months in prison, followed by another 20 years of supervised release in an online sextortion scheme that victimized more than 60 minor girls. Okay, sextortion is sex and extortion put together. And this particular pedophile, he happened to be a Mexican citizen in the U.S. I'm not here to talk about immigration. I am here to talk about how easy prey a prepubescent child is. He was able to victimize more than 60 kids, okay? Most of them were young girls between the age of 9 and 12, okay? Prepubescent. Preteen, if you don't know what that word means. So Quintana, his name was Valentin Silva Quintana. He was only 31. He used social media apps, including Snapchat, Instagram, to sexually manipulate and exploit more than 60 girls from 9 to 12 years old, girls between the age of 9 to 12. He used fake identities. He lied about his age when he was talking to the girls. He posed as a minor girl himself. He used images and videos of young girls appearing in his communications so that those 60 young girls would trust him and believe in him. According to court documents, and I point this out because I am not an extremist, I don't embellish anything. I want to know what the actual truth was. So I often turn to court documents in my case studies. In this case, he used a wide range of tactics to coerce his victims to convince the young girls that he was a friend or a romantic partner or offering them money. He convinced these young girls to send him sexual photos or videos, and he covertly recorded the young girls engaging in sexually explicit conduct, which you can bet your bottom dollar he is showing to them, and then threatened to send the first image to their friends and family unless the girls produced even more graphic sexual images and videos. Okay, so in this case, he pled guilty to production of child pornography, distribution of child pornography, and one count of possession of child pornography. And he ended up getting 324 years in prison. So I want to talk about this a minute because this is an important thing to me. I have seen many of these cases. I'm going to share a couple more of them with you as we talk about this today. But this kind of thing just tears up my soul. And I'm not, I'm pretty tough. I've been doing this for a long, long time. But I want you to think about the impact on a 7-year-old girl, a 9-year-old girl, even a 12-year-old girl who's starting through puberty. And she has started out her first sexual encounter as being a sexual encounter that is devastating to her for the rest of her life. I often say that for most of this generation of young kids, their first sexual encounter will be an online sexual encounter. And I think that that is very important for everyone on the face of the earth to understand. Because if that child starts out their first sexual encounter as one that is one of exploitation, that is negative, that is dirty, that is threatening to them, it is going to change their opinion of themselves for the rest of their life. I will never forget talking to a father one day. And it's been a long time ago now. I never met that man. I never got his name. I talked to him for 3 hours because he sounded like an incredibly fine father. And his 11-year-old girl had been coerced online into inserting things in her body that was filmed. And now it's gone out into the dark web. It's gone out to literally tens of thousands, if not more than 1 million pedophiles. And nobody will ever be able to get it back. And I remember talking to him and he said, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I'm so depressed, I cry, I can't work. He said, I grieve the loss of her innocence. She's only 11 and my job was to protect her. And I could not do that because she did that online when I was at work. And he said, now it's out there forever. Her life is changed forever. And he said, I get mad at myself. I get mad at my wife for asking for the phone. I get mad at the phone company. I get mad at the app company. And he said, I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I can't work. And I will never forget that man. What a fine father he was as he's trying to come to grips. I mean, our role as parents is to protect the innocence of our children. And you cannot do that if you put them online. I know I sound a little crusty, but I'll just throw this out to you because I've seen so many of these cases. I say to myself, if you're putting a 7-year-old child online, you cannot watch them 24/7. You cannot. And these kids are very creative with technology. Here's the problem. They don't understand adult sexuality because everybody's protected them, and they should not understand it. They're only 7. They're only 9. It is the innocence of children that give us that creativity, that give us that joy, that give us that chance to see the young child in all of us. But if you're going to put that child online, I guarantee you at some point, they are going to get victimized. And it will change their life forever. You might as well take them down. I know this is crusty, but you might as well take them down to a strip club and leave them off for 10, 15 minutes and see how they hold up. Because that's exactly what you're doing when you put a prepubescent child online in the digital world. They're going to see things that I believe 7 and 9-year-olds and even 11-year-olds should not be seeing. One of the questions I ask myself, and I often ask my audiences when I go out and I speak, there was a case that I had. His name was Richard DeVito. It wasn't my case. It was a case study that got my attention. Now, this is an older case now. I don't even remember how old it is. But this man is 35 years old. He has children of his own. Many pedophiles do, by the way. And he preyed on young girls online from 8 to 12 years old. Now, in his case, he had 40 victims before they caught him. The case I'm telling you about here had 70 victims. Is that right? 70 victims, 60 victims, okay? In this case with Richard DeVito, we started to look at it and say, how does he get access to so many young girls? One 11-year-old girl was from Tennessee. This girl that we're seeing in this particular case, I mean, this guy sent them pictures of children having sex with other children and family pets. I know that's disgusting, but that is how it all works. To them, they teach the kids that this is a game. I want you to think about it. You're 7 years old and suddenly you've got access to an online and you see everybody doing it and you know that you're smart and you can do it. So you go online and you hook up with a guy like Richard DeVito and he sends you a video of little kids playing sex games. Well, if you're 7 or you're 9, you giggle. That's what little kids do. We all did it, playing house, whatever. It's funny at that age, and we all giggle. And because we giggle, because it doesn't have the context of adult sexuality. And so what happens is you look at the video, and this is exactly how pedophiles approach young children. And what will happen is he'll say, okay, now it's your turn. Make me a video just like this one. And that kid cannot wait to show off. They're not bad kids just because they did that. They are simply doing what is natural to them. And when somebody has sent them a funny video like that, they want to make one back. So they do make one just like it. Why are these pedophiles doing that to our children? It is because they are part of pedophile rings in the dark web. One of those rings had over 1 million paid subscribers. If your child makes one of those videos and sends it to one of the people that is part of one of those rings, that picture, that video will go out to more than 1 million people around the world who will then pass it on and on and on for the rest of your child's life. And they will never, and you will never, ever be able to get them all back. Yes, there is an act now called Take It Down, that if you save the photo, you have to save the exact photo. They will use chat bots out there, search bots, and try to find it and remove what they can. But if it's out there, it is out there. And predators and pedophiles will then start to reach out to your child. And your child will have no understanding what has happened. On top of that, this is involving other children. She's seeing them, or he, if it's a young boy, is seeing them play those games. And so it will change your child's life forever. In the case of Richard DeVito, the case went to court, and this young girl was only 8. And I just tell you this, not to, embarrass anybody, not to put anybody down, but to show you how quickly this can go wrong. This young girl had borrowed her mother's iPod. And in 1 month period of time, she was able to send Richard DeVito 2,400 messages. That is something like 80 a day, okay, that she's sending back and forth. Maybe they're texts. I don't know if they're texts or email. I don't know. 2,400, 80 a day, 1,700 images. You know what it's like to take a photo, upload it, download it, and try to send it off to your friend. And do you attach it? And is it bigger? Is it smaller? Do you airdrop it? She sent 1,700 images in 1 month and 67 videos. Those are even harder because of the size of a video. That's 2 a day. And she talked to this person through Uvu. Now, this young lady is only 8 years old. It is not the child's fault. It is not, because a child, let me say that again, a child, a prepubescent child has been put online, and obviously somewhere along the line, she has plenty of time in her hands without a lot of hands-on supervision. But my point is, this young girl's life has changed forever. And there is no doubt in my mind that she is a fine young girl who never, ever meant it to be what it turned out to be. But her life has changed forever. And this is important to understand it. The reason I'm making this particular podcast today is literally to help you understand what happens when a very young child goes online. Now, there are a lot of good parents out there who have given a device to their child, and that does not make them a bad parent. But what happens is you get called away. You think you're checking, you're not checking. And on top of it, these kids are smarter than you, no offense to mom and dad, but it is the God honest truth. These kids get technology. You know, that little 7-year-old girl that did all that, she knew how to make a video. What she didn't know is why this is happening. In her mind, she just wants to impress somebody. So our young children, our pubescent children, do not have the wherewithal to understand the world that we are putting them in and why she should never send that photo. I'm going to tell you one more story before we close out here. We've got a couple more yet to go. But I did what we call an insider alert. And this is well into the podcast, but I'm going to take a minute and give myself a brief commercial here. You know, if you want to know everything you can possibly know about online exploitation and how to keep your kids safe, or sex trafficking and how to keep especially your young girl out of it, and what you can do to prevent it, please go to millionkids.org, million, M-I-L-L-I-O-N, millionkids.org, and hit that newsletter button or subscribe button and go on there and sign up. if you really want to get involved, you can go to Me and Kids Supporters over at Me and Kids Facebook page. It is a private page. We have to let you in, but I'll let you in. It is a place that I can train you on things like pedophilia and cartels and gangs and like that without being in harm's way. So go to Me and Kids Supporters and ask to join, and be sure and hit your notifications so that you'll know when we're posting a site. Well, I did something a while back, it's been more than a year now, for a case that I'm about to share with you called an insider alert. And I do those every now and then where I do a video with some slides and like that. It's kind of a podcast with a video cast, okay? And I did this on this case. And I was actually contacted and thanked by the mother who is in Australia. So how cool is that? Okay. So in this case, the pedophile, the predator, is a guy that's up in Beaverton, Oregon. And he had multiple victims, for what it's worth. This was not their only victim. And what he did is he connected with a young girl over in Australia. And this girl is, I think, 8 or 9. I think she's 9 years old. And, he starts talking with her. And the first thing he does is send her images, videos, and photos of little kids having sex with older men. Pedophilia, hardcore pedophilia. Older men violating younger kids. And, then he wants some pictures from her. And she's like, wait a minute, I'm only 9, And so instead of going away and leaving her alone, he now sends her more images, only these are of animals being beaten and injured. Okay. Now, she finally responded by sending a photo, but she was smart enough to go to her mom. And you can tell that her mom was really deep into her life and really wanted to protect her. But my point here is I want you to think about how this changed that young girl's life. She is 9 years old, and for the first time, she is immediately seeing child pornography. Now, I'm going to tell you that in the line of work I do a massive amount of research, and sometimes I work with some investigations and like that. And I was working with it was behind the scenes investigation on undercover for a Super Bowl. And somewhere along the line in what I was looking at, suddenly I saw an image of child pornography. I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty hardcore. I've been doing this 15 years. I'm not a wuss, but I will never forget the image of watching an infant being violated by an adult male. And of course, I have a protocol I have to follow. I immediately report it to the police. I get it all off to it, get it off my computer. I have very sophisticated virus capability, but I will never forget it. I seek counseling. It's important in my line of work to do that. And I say to myself, how does a 9-year-old girl deal with it? If you get somebody like myself and that considers that to be a life-changing moment in my life, I will never forget it. I happened to see it again a second time, not that same photo, but an older child being violated when I was doing some research. And again, I have a protocol I follow with law enforcement. But my point is those are life-changing experiences. When your mind sees something so gross, so painful, so difficult, so violating, of an innocent young child being sexually violated, it will change your perspective forever. The thing that concerns me the most when I see all of these kids online is that I say to myself that most of our kids, their first sexual encounter will be a virtual sexual encounter. And it's just sad to me to understand that they do not yet understand what a healthy sexual encounter should be. And there is such a thing, even though I study all these crimes and like that, I am very grateful that there is such a thing that God gave human beings as a healthy sexual encounter. It is a way of bonding with someone very, very close to you and literally connecting in ways that no other way you can connect. It literally, a sexual encounter is meant to be one that is healthy and bonding. But when it is taking place by a pedophile on a prepubescent child, it simply will distort their future views of what that healthy sexual encounter will be. And to me, that is the danger of it. There's an old saying that is just ever so true. You cannot unsee what you saw. And these children will never be able to unsee what they saw. But there's even a bigger problem here, and that is the fact that their photo, which they have taken and sent off to them, will be put out on the World Wide Web for tens of thousands of other pedophiles to look at, to Google over, if you will. I don't mean Google like Google, but, awe over, and share and share and share. And that photo, you will never be able to get it back. So that child will start out their what should be a healthy sexual life as they go through puberty with the very knowledge that somewhere out there they did something bad, even if it was not intentional, and that photo is out there forever. And then there's the fear of, will they come back to get me because they got caught? And children are afraid of that. That's one of the first things pedophiles teach children is, don't tell because I'll get in trouble. And so that child will take it upon themselves of, it's my fault. I got them in trouble. We all know how sick that is because the child did nothing that was wrong that they understood was wrong. Where it all went wrong is putting them where they can be accessed in the first place. Now, technology is changing at the speed of light, and we are going to have children on there younger and younger and younger. And I am very disturbed by that because I think that if we're going to do that, then tech companies need the ability to immediately sense if it went out there and stop it. They have these bots and algorithms they run on their platform each day, and they take those photos of minor kids that are sexual in nature or nudity or whatever offline. Not all app companies do, and certainly not all gaming companies. This is, by the way, a real way to reach a child is through an online gaming chat room. So make sure your child, especially your prepubescent child, is not in an online gaming chat room where they can be accessed, okay? But I believe we also need tech companies. I hope we reach a day where phone companies actually can use those chat bots and sense what is being sent out on a phone. And if it's a prepubescent child, if it's a minor child and there's something of sexual, it just shuts the phone down. I would love to reach that point. I don't think we're there technically, but I am happy to see some of the tech companies using their bots and algorithms and removing them. You want to know how big this is? Last year, they removed, just a few tech companies, not all of them, removed 24 million images of minors and either in nudity or sexual acts last year online with just a handful of tech companies. So that gives you an idea of how prolific this is. What I'm asking you, mom and dad, is don't let that be your child. Think it out. There are plenty of phones. If you go on Million Kids website under resources, millionkids.org, there's all kinds of phones we highlight. Bark is one of them I'm thinking of right now, but there's a whole bunch of them where a child can access and learn and get data and even communicate with mom and dad without being out on the World Wide Web where they are setting ducks for the underground dark web pedophile community. That is just crazy to put our children in an area where they can be harmed when it is absolutely unnecessary. Well, my name is Opal Singleton. This podcast is called Protect and Prevent. Feel free to share it with everyone you know. You can write to me at Opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org. I hope that you will continue to follow our podcast. They will cover many different subjects, and they are out there to be shared with everyone you know. It is my heart. The reason I get up every morning is to make sure we can keep our kids safe from predators. So go to millionkids.org if you want to support our work financially. We desperately need it. We'd appreciate it. We're a small organization, but we are accountable. We are a 501c3 public benefit nonprofit. Just go to millionkids.org and hit that donate button, or our P.O. box is on there if you want to send us a check. I'm old-fashioned enough to like those checks. Folks, put your arms around your family, especially your kids and your spouse, and let them know how proud you are of them, that you believe in them, that they're there for you, and let them know how much you love them. I'll see you next time on the Protect and Prevent podcast. Thank you for listening.